Hi, and welcome back to another episode of SEO On-Air. I'm your host, Aaron, and today we have Jeff Oxford, founder and SEO Director of 180 Marketing. We talk about content marketing and how it can help e-commerce sites get better SEO results, key developments in AI when it comes to marketing, and how programmatic SEO can help you get better website rankings. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Being the founder and director of SEO for 180 Marketing, that kind of started off a long time ago. So could you tell us how you kind of got into it first?
It did. So I kind of fell into it. It's funny. My dad has always done marketing and advertising, but back when he did it, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was more about brochures, logos, stationery, product design, product packaging. And I always told myself, I don't want to do what my dad does. I want to do my own thing. Like that's his thing. But as the web started changing, he started shifting more towards building websites. And then in the 2000s, this whole thing of search engine optimization emerged. And my dad's more kind of the artistic, creative side, not as much the technical side. So he's like, "Hey Jeff, I got some clients that need. There's this thing called SEO that they need. Can you read about this stuff? I could get you a book and figure it out." So around 2010 is when I officially began my SEO journey, trying to help out my dad. And I just got fascinated by it. I thought it was so interesting how if you do certain things, you can influence your ranking in search engines. And from day one, I was hooked, and I've been doing it ever since.
If Google is trying to keep you staying on Google without any, let's say, interference from other websites, how do we, as people who help websites rank, get to that
It,
spot?
I think it's going to be tricky. I mean, this kind of goes into the whole thing of AI. Whereas if Google's answering all these queries for you, then why would someone need to click on a listing, click on a website? And if no one's clicking on the website, then we're not going to get any traffic. So it is a real threat, and it is something to be cognizant of. I think the best solution, at least in the meantime, is to try to find keywords where where someone's still going to have to click on a listing. So for example, if I type in how tall is Michael Jordan, it's going to give me the answer with a featured snippet. I That's not going to drive, that query is not going to drive any traffic. If I type how to start a drop shipping site, Google might have a featured snippet, but it's kind of a more of a nuanced topic that's going to warrant more research. So that one, someone's probably still going to click around. And then also, like, whether you're in the e-commerce world or looking for transactional keywords, like if someone searches SEO services, they're looking to find a website and reach out and inquire. Or if someone searches gaming laptops, they're looking to buy something. So it just puts more importance on keyword research and finding keywords where um, there's going to be more clicks in the search results. And Ahrefs actually has a pretty handy metric for this in their Keyword Explorer tool. Will show you the average number of clicks per search, so you can choose keywords where people are clicking the listings, and
Right.
that can actually drive traffic.
So then one question I think would be for you, and this might be a long answer. What would you give as an advice to create a content marketing strategy given today's environment with AI?
It's okay. So the floodgates have opened up. We got GPT-4, we got AI writers everywhere, we got Google Bard. There's Creating content has never been easier, and we're already seeing big influxes of content. So everyone's going to GPT-4, everyone's going to Zim Writer or Koala Writer, all these AI writers, and just cranking out content. So the web's going to be saturated with, I'd say, I wouldn't say low quality. I'd say, AI writers are pretty good. So it's going to be decent level content. But what these AI writer tools don't do is they're not automatically adding images. You have to do that manually. They may or may not have any stats or quotes from experts. So if everybody's doing the same thing, you have to ask yourself, what can you do to stand out? And there's a
Exactly.
few tips you can do to stand out from the AI flood that's incoming. One is have images and graphics and charts or any visual elements to make your article stand out more. Another one is add you know add additional stats, facts, data, something interesting that maybe didn't come from GPT-4. Because if everyone's going to the same source, you have to think, what else can I add to this article to make it rank more? And Google actually has a patent on this called information gain score, where they're going to crawl your page, look at all the little passages they can find, and see how much information can they extract from your content. So the more stats, data, facts, information you have that they can extract, the better you're going to rank. So, definitely you can use an AI article writer as your rough draft, but then go back, sprinkle in some stats, maybe link to some studies, add some data, reach out to some experts, and maybe add a few quotes to your article to make it even more valuable. And then the last thing you can do is really focus on EEAT metrics. That's experience, expertise, authority, and trust. This comes straight out of Google's quality rater guidelines. Basically it's what they're looking for, and they even told us recently with this new kind of AI push, they're really focusing on these trust, expertise, authority, experience metrics. So make sure every article there's a link to the author, and when you click that link to the author, make sure the author page is thorough and talks about who they are, their credentials, their experience, their background, where they went to school, why they're qualified to write that article. Create some policies around your editorial. Create some editorial policies. Talk about how you review information, what the editing process looks like, the fact checking process, and link to that. So you want to build trust that when someone comes to it, that they say, okay, this was written by a legitimate person. Here's their background expertise. This website has editorial guidelines. And if you do all those things, that can help make your content stand out in this AI generated content world we're entering.
That still goes to say that you can use AI in this AI driven world to kind of get what you want, as long as you kind of edit it to make it a little bit better than the rest and add that value.
I think you almost have to, because it's such a game changer as far as productivity goes. Like you can 5x or 10x your content production, and if your competitors are using these tools and you're not, they're just going to get further ahead. So I'd never say use an AI writer or use GPT-4 and just publish it straight on your site. I'd say use it as your first draft to save time and costs, and then do some fact checking, editing, enhancing, and then you can publish it.
And I think this is more like a personal question, but actually, no, not really. But could you play devil's advocate and try to push for how human writers are still, let's say, valuable? In the sense, like if we had to do the exact same thing in rank, but without the use of AI, would that still be
Sure.
possible?
I would say so. Like, if we have like a tier system, I would say, um, you have there was GPT-3, which was it's like you could start to see writing, but it wasn't that good. Then you had Chat GPT came out. It's like that's when everyone got blown away. Like, okay, this has potential. With GPT-4, I'd say it's on par with your average. I'll call it generalist writer. So a generalist writer, maybe they don't have expertise in one area, but they can do some research and they can write a decent article. I'd say that's pretty much on par with where GPT-4 is at. But still, nothing's going to compete with like a true industry expert. Like Chat GPT will never be able to create an article as good as Rand Fishkin can, at least right now.
Yeah.
Who knows? Things are changing fast. I might eat my words in a few years, but as it stands now, um, industry experts are still better than AI writers. But there's really not that big of a difference between an AI writer or GPT-4 and a typical generalist writer. It's just, it, I say that with an asterisk and a caveat that use the types of prompts you use can really impact the quality of AI content you get back. So if you're just saying,
Exactly.
write me a 1,500 word article about keyword research, it's going to be well written and
Basic.
decent, but it's not going to be nearly as good as if you like structure your prompts and give it more information, tell it to use lists, tables, charts, tell it how tell it the style and the tone. The higher quality your prompt, and it takes some testing, it's going to have a big impact on the quality of the output. So to bring it all together, uh, GPT-4 can be just as good as a general, native English speaker writer who's a professional, as long as the prompts are structured correctly.
All right. And I think it kind of is a fun way to actually look at things, because when Google is using AI to kind of put out their content, and then you're using AI as well to compete with their content, it's just
Yep.
AI versus AI, and the only one with the experience will actually win.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a little bit before with information gain score, where if everybody's going to GPT-4, and so GPT-4 was trained, it basically read the entire internet and has all that information. So everyone's pulling from the same model that has read the internet. But if you can add things to your article that GPT-4 doesn't know about, all of a sudden your information gain score is going to be higher than everyone else. So yeah, you're absolutely right that just adding more unique facts, stats, data, making your content stand out can help your content rise above the AI flood that we're in.
And in terms of, let's say, writing content, we know AI can do a good help in that. But when it comes to, let's say, other SEO practices like link building, in relation to, let's say, e-commerce sites as well, this will be a two-part question. But one, can
Sure.
AI help out in this field? And two, how exactly can it do that?
As much as I would love AI to be able to like find sites, reach out, follow up, I think the way things are trending, it's going to get there eventually, but we're not there yet. So AI can assist with different parts of the link building process. So we already talked about content. You can use AI to create link bait for content marketing, content promotion to get backlinks. AI is really good at writing email, like really good at writing email templates. So if you say write me a high response rate email template targeting these bloggers, and I mention puns and use emojis, like it's actually pretty impressive. So if you want to scale like if you want to get a high response rate, the easiest way to do that is personalize your emails. If you're using the same generic standard email templates, you're just not going to get a very high response rate. So AI lets you scale the personalization process. Before, you'd have to like click on their about, read who this person is, maybe skim through the article, take a few takeaways out. With AI, there's a bunch of different use cases on how you can personalize it. So you could if you're if you found an article on a website that you like, you could dump it into GPT-4 and say, hey, what's the main takeaway of this article, or main takeaway of this article, and then you could like mention that, like, oh, I really liked your article. I liked how whatever AI gives you, and so you can use that as a kind of opening line to show that quote unquote read it. Another thing you can do is if you're reaching out to like a prominent blogger, like let's say like Steve Chu of My Wife Quit Her Job is a very prominent in the e-commerce space, or we'll say Rand Fishkin. If I'm reaching out to Rand Fishkin, I can use GPT-4 to say, write me a high response rate personalized email to Rand Fishkin for a guest post opportunity or for a podcast interview or whatever it might be. And GPT-4 has read every article about Rand Fishkin. It knows who Rand Fishkin is, and it can like find some interesting things about him and include that for you. So it really helps you scale email personalization, which can have a much higher response rates during your outreach efforts.
All right. And let's say in terms of the plugins you can use as well with ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
Have you used quite a few of them? You do seem like
I
you're almost like an
have.
advocate for ChatGPT.
I'm a big fan of ChatGPT. My favorite plugins, I'm checking right now. I actually like to use their browse with Bing option. If you have the paid version of GPT-4, they give you browse with Bing option, which will pull real time results. So anytime I have a prompt that's going to require more recent, up to date information. Like maybe I'm creating a statistics page and I'm going to promote for backlinks, and I want to find up to date statistics. GPT's cutoff is, I believe 2021, or 20, yeah. So it's like 2 years ago. So it's
Right.
not going to have any information from the past 2 years. So if I do the browse with Bing, it can actually pull current data from recent articles, recent statistics pages. As far as the plugins go, I like the Web Pilot. Web Pilot is good for scraping URLs. So if you have a prompt that references a URL, Web Pilot can pull it, scrape it. You can say summarize this article, just drop in the URL, and it will scrape it and give you the results.
And we've seen how it can pretty much change the content side of things, but how can all these developments in AI help out in terms of SEO and marketing?
I think it's all about finding use cases for it. So, like, if we with Chat GPT, you could literally say, okay, we'll start with marketing. We'll kind of take our SEO hats off for a second. You could say,
All right.
um, I have an e-commerce website selling gaming laptops. How should I market my business? And it'll probably give you some idea. It'll probably tell you things like you know what? Here, we're going to do a little show and tell. It sells gaming laptops. Create a marketing strategy for my website. So it's probably going to give me a few. My guess is, yeah, just like I thought, search engine optimization, which is going to be good. It tells me to use relevant keywords and product descriptions, meta tags. It's talking about content marketing and blogging, which is I'd also say is a great suggestion. Content marketing would be a great way to drive traffic, build, do some brand building. The third suggestion is social media marketing on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Talks about influencer marketing, where I could partner with, this is an interesting one, collaborate with gaming influencers on platforms like Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram. I think that'd be very relevant. So it's not just generic, they're giving specific to gaming. We got email marketing, paid advertising, affiliate marketing. So it's all these things are great suggestions, and I would agree with all the things it came up with. And then, so like, if let's say I'm an entrepreneur and I know a lot about creating e-commerce websites, but I know nothing about marketing, I could use GPT-4 to kind of come up with this high level plan. And then if we talk about the SEO, I could say, now create a detailed SEO, create a detailed plan for the first strategy. So it should be giving me a plan for SEO.
I mean, this kind of blows all consultants out of the water.
It does. Okay. It blows probably at least half. I would say half of consultants are probably, at least from what I've seen, half are great, half might not be as great. And this, I would personally trust GPT-4 more than half the people half of what I see on Fiverr and Upwork. So right now, and if you're just listening, it's giving me a detailed plan. It's saying do some keyword research. It's giving me tools I can use to keyword research. It's telling me how to optimize pages and where to put keywords in the title tag, meta description, header, product description, URLs. It's giving me information about technical SEO. So if I'm just kind of a website creator and not a marketer, it's giving me a lot of great tips I can do to get started, and I can drill deeper into any one of these to learn more. So I'd say, to answer your question, I think you can be as high level or specific as you want. So this sort of use case we talked about is more of like high level, but you can also find AI for specific use cases. Like we talked about before, creating email templates for link building, maybe incorporating keywords into content, part of your keyword research process. So there's a few things you can do to use AI, either from a high level or being really specific and granular.
But what about when it comes to creativity? I've heard some people always feel that when they have AI introduced into their lives, they kind of lose that creative spark that they once had. They kind of just expect GPT to kind of finish everything for them.
Yeah, it's like what do you call it? Existential crisis, where what's our purpose? If we and I know this hit really hard with graphic designers, because you had Midjourney and you had Dolly come out, especially Midjourney, where there's a lot of companies that turned all their graphic designers into just Midjourney prompt engineers, and they would just do some editing. Because from a business perspective, it's way cheaper, way faster, and the quality is amazing. Like these Midjourney, it's insane what you can create. But I've already heard stories of like these graphic designers are, some of them get almost depressed in the fact that they love to design things. They love the creative process, and they have an idea and they create and they visualize and they see it come to life. And now that's all sucked out of it. And they're literally just typing in text, making a few edits, and that's it. So I think there's going to be some ramifications, especially in the tech industry, where people, what they like about their job might change, and who knows if they'll even have a job in some cases, depending on how widely used, how this impacts productivity, and if companies still see a need to have bigger teams.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask, what do you think AI is going to be by the end of this year? But I'm pretty sure it's going to be like, who knows?
It's really hard. I mean, it's honestly really hard to tell because of the pace of change. I would say, I think it's only going to get better. The way I kind of picture it is, you just like, if you have every single, let's say you have a hierarchy here of like super advanced at the top, you have jobs that require amazing critical thinking, hard to automate, high level decision making. At the bottom is more monotonous tasks. So if I use SEO, for example, at the top it could be like creating the SEO strategy, or doing technical audits for a website. At the bottom, it could be creating an email template or creating content, things that could be easily automated by AI. And there's a bar that's kind of slowly going up of what can be automated with AI. And I feel like that bar is only going to keep increasing. We're going to see more and more SEO functions be able to be automated. When I say automated, I don't necessarily say it's going to mean replaced. I still think you have to have someone who knows SEO well enough to determine if the AI suggestions are correct or not, and kind of manage that. It's like what calculators did for mathematicians. Now
Right.
they don't need to do all these calculations. They have a calculator do it. They don't do it by hand, but they still have to know what to input in the calculator to help them with this massive equation that they're working on.
That's something actually I've heard a lot about is that if you do enter garbage into an AI tool, you're pretty much going to get garbage back.
Yep.
But if you do enter the right thing, you're pretty much going to get well sorted after that.
Yeah. The value of prompt engineering.
Right. So, what would be, let's say, a quick 3 tips to prompt the proper tool?
The biggest tip, like hands down the biggest, is to take your prompt and break it into multiple steps. So, for example, we talked about creating content. If you just say, write me a 1,500 word article about gaming laptops, you're going to get a mediocre article. But if instead you say, what are the most common questions people have about gaming laptops? That's your first
Right.
prompt. Second, create an outline that covers all these questions. Third, now write the first section of that outline. Then write the second section. Then write the third. You're taking it and you're spreading it out, and you're going to get a much higher quality output. Like that right there, you can 5x the quality of your content outputs by just chaining it. Have you heard of a Chrome plugin called AI PRM?
PRM. Yep. Yep.
I was super excited when I saw it, and then once I started learning more about prompt engineering, I stopped using it because it only does kind of
Exactly.
one-shot single input prompts, which it's better than nothing, but it's not the greatest. Like a true good prompt is going to have a chain. So
Right.
so yeah, that's my biggest tip. Another one is be as concise and clear as possible. So like just kind of with natural language processing, you want to make it easy. Don't use slang or talk casually. Don't talking to your friend. Talk like just very specific. So whatever, like a Wikipedia style and tone, for example. Like that's the kind of writing you want to do. It's just matter of fact, this, that. Be concise. And I guess the last tip is tell it tell it what you want it to do. Don't tell it what you don't want it to do. So if you say don't do this, it really struggles with that. You kind of have
Right.
to give it more direction. So those are like 3 quick tips that come to mind that can help improve prompt engineering.
And I completely 100% agree with all of them because we had the exact same issue with AI PRM. We use it for a couple of days and we were like, this is really good. One click, you get your
Yeah,
content all optimized and everything. And then we just felt there was a lot of limitations and there was not that much flexibility in the prompts. And then even we just scrapped it and we're like, hey, listen, I think we can prompt it
yeah,
better than this template.
that's exactly it. And just last week, I had a lot of fun using Zapier with the Chat GPT
The
integration.
plugin. Right.
So what we did is we created a Google form where you enter a keyword or enter the article title and a keyword. Then it takes that into GPT-4 to go through the same prompt sequence I described. What are the questions about this? The write an outline about these questions. Now write the first, second. And each of those, it's like a 20-step GPT-4 Zapier system, and the final output, it puts everything into a Google Doc and then emails it once it's done. So we created, basically you can create your own article writer using GPT-4 and Zapier, and it's going to be pretty much, if you have your prompts structured correctly, it'll be better than any article writer that's currently available, and it's going to be way cheaper.
So we were talking about e-commerce brands for the most part. So for e-commerce brands in general, let's say the larger ones, how do we get the site structure to work out? And again, can AI help out in this place too?
If we were talking about site structure for larger sites, so let's say you have like a really high authority website that's been around for a while and they have thousands of pages. So for a site like that, you want to have a flat architecture, which means like you want search engines and users to get to a page as quickly as possible. So you don't want to have to like click on a category, subcategory, subcategory. You don't want to have to go too deep. It's always a balance between like it's always a balance between not having too too many subcategory pages, but also not having too many products per subcategory page. So it's going to be nuanced for every site. But in general, you have your parent category pages. You want to make sure you link to your subcategory pages. A mistake I see a lot of large e-commerce sites do is they rely only on the faceted navigation, which is kind of the filtering, where we've all seen that sidebar where you can sort by color, price, brand, attributes, whatever it might be. And they just rely on that. The issue is Google doesn't really index those pages. And if they do, you're creating a lot of duplicate content. So you want to make sure you have a indexable category page for every keyword combination that you're looking for. So that'd be my main tip. Some other things is use breadcrumbs, make sure products link to related products for additional internal linking, make sure products link to their parent subcategory page in the breadcrumbs. Your most important products you could link to from your homepage to get an additional boost, to kind of send some of that homepage link value and power to your product pages. I'd say another tip, if you have maybe you've done some content marketing or some blog posts that have garnered a lot of backlinks, adding internal links to those blog posts, your most important categories and products, can also help send some link juice and help them rank. So there's just some ways you can play around with your site structure to maximize your SEO benefit.
And a lot of that was technical, but does AI play any role in that, or it's
Let me
best to
think
keep
about
that
it. That's a good question. I've had some internal linking. I have had some success with internal linking where if I have AI write an article, and then I'll say now add internal links to let's say I'm doing it for Ahrefs. Let's say add links to the relevant blog posts on Ahrefs.com. And it'll actually go in and add the hyperlinks, and it'll because it's crawled all of Ahrefs up until late 2021, and it will do that. It's just sometimes with the way generative text works is sometimes it will say a URL that never existed, so you kind of have to double check it. So I'm a little hesitant to recommend it for internal linking. It gets it right sometimes, but not all the time. So you can try it. Just make sure you're double checking the suggestions.
I think that also can be kind of changed a bit if you do use one of the plugins, because then you'll get the more updated data.
That is true. You could use some of the plugins.
Same thing kind of goes for other questions as well. In another strategy altogether, where programmatic advertising and SEO is there, where you kind of use automation and technology together, kind of boost your results. I think this would be a great place to kind of get AI into it. So, what exactly do you feel about this?
I'm a big fan of it. I think this is one of the most important, like using automation AI to scale the SEO process is one of the most important things you can do. What I always say is anybody can optimize a page perfectly. Like, let's be honest, if you have one page and as much time as you need, anybody can make any SEO can make that page super optimized. Have a really good title tag and the keyword in the meta description, optimize the content, and get that good URL structure, create the schema for it. Add some internal links. Like, if your goal is just optimize one page, then yes, you can do that, make that happen. But what separates a good SEO from a great SEO is the ability to scale the SEO process. So what if you have an e-commerce site with thousands of pages? You don't have time to manually optimize every single one. You have to rely on automation. So, I'm a big fan of creating, I'll call it like micro web applications that serve like one specific task. So for example, we created a tool like, for example, for toxic link analysis. If we have a website that we think has a bunch of junk links, we created a tool that uses Moz API to pull in their spam score, so we can kind of bulk check the spam score of a lot of URLs. That can really cut down the time to manually review every single backlink. Another tool we have, let's say we review the website's index and we see there's like a lot of like duplicate URLs, junk URLs that shouldn't be indexed, and we want to no index them. We created a tool that uses the Index Now API to do a whole bunch of no index requests. So we can bulk index instead of going manually in Search Console and removing like one at a time, which would take forever. For keyword cannibalization, we actually created a tool where it uses the Google Search Console API, and it will pull in the top queries and URLs, and it'll say like, are there queries where you have multiple URLs with high impressions, which can be a sign that Google's changing between the URL it's ranking, and kind of find those opportunities. So those are just a few examples. But with the cost of programming getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and creating these web applications, kind of one of my secret weapons that I'm happy to share on this podcast is, if there's a certain use case you want, whether it's using a certain API, or you want a tool to do whatever it is, go on Fiverr, search for Python developer, and then find a Python developer. And honestly, it shouldn't cost you more than $100. Like, all the tools I described cost me about $100 each. It's not expensive at all. And then there's this hosting platform called Streamlit, Streamlit. Streamlit adds a user interface and hosting to any Python application. So you don't have to worry about setting up your server. You don't have to worry about learning Python and running environments. You have your developer set it all up, and you can have these really easy to use web applications that cost less than $100 and can save hours and hours of time.
Quick question. If I take that $100 and then just use $20 to get the premium ChatGPT, can I use that as a Python developer, or is that...
You can. So that is like, we have another tool, our algorithmic optimization tool, where you can actually like go to Ahrefs, export all the rankings for a website, import it into this tool. What it will then do is it will find the best keyword to target. It'll use OpenAI to identify the best keyword to target for each page, and then once it's found that keyword, it will write an optimized title tag and meta description and header tag for that page using the OpenAI API. So yeah, you can kind of do a combination of both, but the only place where GPT-4 and OpenAI would fall short is if you need data from a certain data set, like if you're pulling data from Google Search Console, if you're pulling data from Ahrefs or Moz, if you're pulling data, all these kind of third-party data sources, ChatGPT won't have access to it, so you'll have to do something custom. But like I said, you can still use ChatGPT for a lot of cool use cases, like bulk optimizing hundreds, if not thousands, of URLs.
We've kind of gone through quite a few tools, and I want to know, what would be your top 5 recommended tools for people?
Number one is Ahrefs. I use that every single day. I really like the link analysis, traffic analysis, keyword data. Their site crawler tool is pretty helpful. The keyword explorer tool is very helpful. So you can use a tool for prospecting, for link building. So Ahrefs, number one. Number two, I still like Screaming Frog, even though Ahrefs has their own site crawler tool. Maybe it's because I've just used it for so long, but it's really easy to do some cool things, especially with like bulk URL analysis, scraping. If you get fancy with like the extractions, you can actually like pull data out of like, for example, if you're doing a content audit, you can use XPath to pull out the date an article was published, so you can like have a spreadsheet showing like all your articles, when they were published, the word count, some metrics. So I like Screaming Frog a lot. Outside of those, like, I'd say those two are in a league of their own. I use those the most. Other than those, I mean, I use Surf for SEO. I use a lot, so I would recommend Surf for SEO, and I'd say that's about it. Everything else we kind of made our own little micro tools for, but those are the kind of the big three that we use the most. Pitchbox. We're Pitchbox for link building.
All right. Okay. I was going to say that, what were some of the tools that you kind of use, and maybe we can give them a shout out too?
Yeah, so like, well, they're not public. It's only available. Like, we have our own little private 180 marketing dashboard. We have, we have one for bulk link analysis and pulling spam scores, URL removal, scraping. People also ask, internal linking, algorithmic optimization using OpenAI. So a new one we just built that's super helpful is a link checker tool that uses Ahrefs API to see, you input a URL, it will tell you year over year has the traffic dropped, indicating that maybe the site's been penalized. It will look at if is it linking to any like crypto, CBD, casino, pharma type sites to make sure it's not just a link farm. And we found out there's a lot of sites that on the surface look high quality, but if you actually see who they link to, they're not as high quality as you would think.
So with some of these main tools that you mentioned, how long did it take to kind of develop all of it? Just asking so that if people do want to develop their own, they have like an idea.
Usually it's a week. So like I'll go on Fiverr, I'll type in Streamlit developer, or just like, yeah, Streamlit, one word. You'll see some developers that are familiar with Python and Streamlit. You reach out, you tell them what you're trying to do. They'll probably give you a budget between $50 to $150. You have them go do it, and a week later you have a working tool that just saved you hours of your time.
3 books that you would recommend our viewers and listeners? I'm hoping
Good.
iRobot isn't in the top 3.
Yeah, yeah. It's a good question. I mean, gosh, I find out most of my reading is in blog posts, but there are a few books that come to mind. I really liked 4 Hour Workweek, which kind of put me on my entrepreneurial journey. It has a lot of good concepts that can be helpful that I still use today. There's a book called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, this really badass Navy SEAL. It's just like, if you want a heavy dose of motivation, just feel unstoppable, a great book for that. So those are really the only 2 books in recent years that I've read. Most of my readings just on blog posts.
So would you maybe give a shout out to the blog post that you kind of, at least the website, at least you frequent?
Ahrefs blog is amazing. I'm going to put that number 1. Backlinko, there's a time when that was like the SEO blog. I'd still say that the content there is very, very good, very helpful. I mean, at this point, I feel like most of my information is just coming from Ahrefs, and if I want news, maybe Search Engine Journal or Search Engine Land.
All right, okay. So then in terms of podcasts, though, what would be 3 podcasts that you recommend our viewers and listeners?
You mean other than this one?
Oh, too kind.
I'd say I like Authority Hackers podcast for SEO content. That's probably the only. Matt Diggity has a few good He doesn't do as many podcasts, but when he does, they're pretty good. So I'd say for SEO stuff, Authority Hackers and Matt Diggity's podcast. For non-SEO, I like Lex Fridman's podcast, where he interviews guests ranging from like AI to culture to whatever it might be. Really interesting guests there. And then my favorite business podcast would be All In Podcast, where you have a bunch of like billionaire venture capitalists that just talk about the economy and markets and business, and there's some really cool insights from that.
So thanks a lot for the chat, Jeff. It's been great. I've actually learned a lot more than what I expected to. I kind of thought I would learn the basics and get to know a bit more, but now we've kind of dived in deep together, and I'm really appreciative of that. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, Aaron. This was fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching that episode. I hope you enjoyed. For more videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe.